If anything goes wrong, you can't have a farm, you can't have animals, you can't do this, you can't do that. We don't even have a clothesline. See? So if anything breaks down, or if anything goes wrong, or if there's any problem in the corporate entities that have developed to take up all the services and exchanges normally provided by our community, then everybody here is going to starve. The house without air conditioning becomes very uncomfortable in the hot weather. And in the wintertime, it becomes very cold. Without petroleum energy, without electricity, this place would be uninhabitable. So what is the value of that? Its value is very, very conditional. It depends on so many structural assumptions. And if any of those changes, then the thing becomes useless. We really liked where we were staying in South Chile, because everybody has horses, cows, sheep, goats, pigs. You know, the pigs, by the way, turns out they're very useful for digging the soil and maintaining the health of the soil, not to eat them. But they're, you know, interesting, I guess. Llamas, huh? Now there's a weird animal. Now what are they good for? The fur, maybe?
Looking at.
Yeah, well, they're not even that good to look at. I'd much rather look at a horse than a llama. They're funny looking things. They're kind of like camels. Yeah. Miniature camels with lots of fur. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're good for something. But anyway, if anything happens down there, like if the gasoline were cut off or something like that, everybody heats with wood. So they just go out, cut some trees, and then they can live. Let's say, I mean, they don't even use tractors. We didn't see one tractor, did we? We did see one? One tractor, the whole time we were there. And we saw some very large fields being plowed with oxen. The oxen do fine, you know, they're a little slow, but, you know, the fuel is cheap, just gas. I mean, just grass, sorry. So, you know, just like today, this morning, the whole morning was constant disturbance by these rascals mowing the grass, you know, with their little riding lawnmowers, and made a racket, terrible rackets, bad smell, and everything. You know, one cow, or you know, just a few cows would mow all this grass and keep it just perfectly even, and you know, and also fertilize and everything. But no, we can't have animals. Oh no. You see, they do everything. They set up everything just to keep people dependent on the system and stop them from becoming self-sufficient. You see, but in these so-called primitive, third world, undeveloped countries, actually, people are better off than they are here. They have more wealth, they have more possibilities. They have land, they have cows, they have all kinds of trees, animals, everything, right there on their property. The lady who we were renting our house from, every winter she harvests several trees. And then those trees become the firewood for the next winter. So, you know, she has so much property, she has enough trees, she can afford to cut down 3 or 4 trees every year. And then she has a huge pile of firewood, enough to last her like 2 or 3 years, actually, for that one little house where she stays in the winter. So, you see, people who live natural and close to the land, they may not have a lot of cash, but they have a lot of assets that they can use, especially in times of emergency, which, by the way, we are in right now, if you hadn't noticed. And it's just going to get a lot worse this autumn. So, you know, plant that garden. Okay, where are we at now? Number 58. Kṛṣṇa is the original source of all incarnations. Jayadev Goswami, in his Gita Govinda, has sung as follows: The Lord has saved the Vedas in his form as a fish, and he bore the whole universe on his back in the form of a tortoise. He has picked up this earthly planet from the water in the form of a boar. He has killed Hiranyakashipu in the form of Nrsimha. He has cheated Maharaj Bali in the form of Vamana. He has annihilated all the dynasties of the Kshatriyas in the form of Parashuram. He has killed all the demons in the form of Lord Ram. He has accepted the great plow in the form of Balaram. He has annihilated all the atheistic persons in the form of Kalki. And he has saved all the poor animals in the form of Lord Buddha. These are some of the descriptions of the incarnations emanating from Kṛṣṇa. And from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that innumerable incarnations are always coming out from the body of Kṛṣṇa, just like waves in the ocean. Nobody can even count how many waves there are. And similarly, no one can count how many incarnations are coming from the Lord's body. Yeah, there's a very nice description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about all the different incarnations. And there's many different types of incarnations. There's Vishnu expansions, like we talked about, the Vishnus and Nārāyan and like that. Then there's the guna avatars of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. And then there's the avatars that create the material universe. Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Karnadakshay Vishnu, like that. Then there's the Leela avatars, like Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Ram, Lord Nrsimha. They just appear to perform transcendental pastimes, and then they disappear again. And then there's the Manvantara avatars, who appear as Manu and start the whole creation, universal creation over again at the beginning of the day of Brahma. And then there's the Yuga avatars, who come in every Yuga, every historical cycle, mainly to change the Yuga from one to the next, and also to give the spiritual process, the Dharma, for each Yuga. So there are all these different types. And then there's Shaktyavesh avatars, living entities who are specially empowered to perform some superhuman task. And Srila Prabhupada is also an example of one of those. Srila Prabhupada, try to understand his historical significance. For thousands of years, the Vedic Dharma existed in India. And for thousands of years, people knew, those who studied the Vedas knew, that in this Kali Yuga, the Dharma for the Yuga was the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And they also knew that it was predicted that this chanting process would spread all over the world. And many yogis and swamis came from India to the West, beginning in, the 19th century. Yet, none of them was able to teach even one person this chanting process very nicely. None of them was able to translate Bhagavad Gita very nicely into English. There are many translations. Prabhupada counted something like 600 editions of Bhagavad Gita in English. And he said every single one of them is bogus. So Srila Prabhupada, even Bhakti Siddhanta sent some of his swamis, some of his sannyasi disciples to the West. And they were unable to make even one devotee. Then Srila Prabhupada comes alone, practically penniless, and just with a big box of books from India, hitching a ride on a freighter. And he lands in New York. And within 10 years, he establishes 108 temples and 10,000 disciples and so many preaching engagements and millions of books distributed and so many other wonderful things. You see? Nobody else has done it. And nobody else could do it until Srila Prabhupada came. Therefore, he was specifically empowered by Lord Nityananda, who is Balaram himself, the original spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, Lord Nityananda. See, Kṛṣṇa appeared as Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, the original Guru, appeared as Lord Nityananda. So, Lord Nityananda, his business is to satisfy the desire of Lord Chaitanya. He feels himself as the first servant of the Lord. So, Lord Chaitanya wanted to see this chanting process spread all over the world. That's his desire.